What's up, everyone? Before the video starts, I just want to kind of put out there, I'm not a professional interviewer. I trip over my words massively throughout the video. Fshsuit, however, what a speaker. Really interesting to listen to. So, you know, I hope you enjoy this video and drop a like, subscribe for more in the future. Thank you very much. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Potato Zone and welcome to episode 4 of Getting to Know. A series returning, hopefully for a longer spell this time. My guest for this episode is none other than Fshsuit. What's up, man?
What's up, Potato Zone? Got to get used to the new name here, man.
Yeah, of course, because the last time I did this, I was Louis T. A lot changed in that time.
Yeah, I would say so.
Thanks for coming on, though, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Feel privileged that I handpicked you to, you know.
This is the first time I've ever been picked for anything, so I'm excited.
I feel like there's some sort of school regrets or something going on there.
Trauma.
So I just want to, I guess we'll just kick it off. Because I like to ask people what got them into gaming to begin with. And like sort of, because something generally would have piqued their interest. Or someone would have been sort of like the role model there. So what was the regard to you with that?
For like getting into gaming in general?
Yeah.
Like definitely my mom. We got an NES probably when I was, I don't know, 6 or 7 years old back in the 1980s. And yeah, I mean, we were really, really into The Legend of Zelda, like the original one. My mom was, like I said, my mom was a gamer, and we loved to play that game together. It was, you know, obviously back before you could just like look up a world map and know where every secret in the game was. And so I remember just as a kid, so like I said, 6 or 7 years old, with a poster board out, drawing out the map of the world map for Legend of Zelda and marking with my mom like wherever his secret was and where
there's some sort of magic to that, isn't there?
Was. And so that definitely started my love of games was playing with her.
And there was just a challenge back then to games compared to now, I think, wasn't there? Like when you say you can't just Google, you know, if you're stuck.
Yeah, it's not just like, okay, well, I mean, because I think we've all been in that situation where it's like you get to this like really frustrating part and you're just like, well, fuck this. Look this up, you know, and then they immediately can get through. Like if you were stuck in 1989 on a part of a game, guess what? You were stuck there. I mean, like, you know, what are you going to do? Like,
yeah,
you know, there's no backup. So that's, you know, that was like part of that fun, that like you said, the challenge of it was that we had to create our own, like basically create our own like content for this game in order to really understand, you know, the intricate parts of it.
Yeah, and it's funny to think because a lot of those games back then were so one-dimensional, but you look at them now, 20 years later or whatever it is, and they were way ahead of their time.
Especially a game like that, where like even if you look at Legend of Zelda like remains in my top 10 favorite games of all time. I mean, a game like that where it is complex. I mean, it had a new game plus. You know what I mean? Like the second quest of that game was completely different from the first, and like all the secrets and stuff, and the fact that you could beat the game without progressing through it the way that you're intended to. I mean, now with, you know, speed running and stuff, you can see people just beat that game, you know, without a sword or whatever. You know, that's that kind of stuff. It's like at the time was like pretty unheard of. Like you think like the games that were released around that time too is like Mario. Well, you got that one path through that game.
Yeah, how simple.
So yeah,
but yet so difficult at the same time.
right.
So moving on, sort of on the same subject to a degree, but what age were you when you really started to get into the gaming?
I mean, I would say that, like, I think every kid, you know, like when I got my first NES console, that I was hooked. Like, it didn't move past that. it didn't. It wasn't just like one day where I was like, I'm a gamer. I woke up this morning and today I am a gamer. Like, you know, as long as I can remember, there's always been games. I've always loved video games. You know, moved on. I had a Game Boy. I remember saving up my money for a Sega Genesis, you know,
Right.
back in the day, and that was exciting to go purchase. But I would say that around 1996, when I was about 13, we got the internet at my house, and
Whole new ball game.
yeah, totally different, total game changer as far as gaming, wanting to experience different types of games. I remember at that point, I was like building my own computers and stuff to be able to play. Like I was huge into an MMO that was big at the time, EverQuest. Still, I mean, I still think you can go play EverQuest if you wanted to.
What age was this?
And,
Sorry, that you were building your own computers?
yeah, building my own PCs. So I've been like PC Master Race, PC gamer since, you know, like the mid 90s. At that point, I mean, like I owned other consoles, but basically from that point forward, I would say like when I started to goof around with my own PCs, from that point forward, I owned Nintendo consoles and PC gamed. So like the whole Xbox versus PlayStation console war thing was completely beyond me, because I never was a PlayStation guy, never was an Xbox guy. I was just PC gaming like through all that time. And so you know, it's like when I started to build them, I started to, you know, build towards gaming, and I've been, you know, PC. That's when I say, like, you know, if you want to, like, there was a genesis of PC gaming, which was about the time that I started playing EverQuest in like the mid to late 90s.
Sure, it took a lot less to build computers then, I would imagine, compared to now.
Like literally, Louis, you didn't have to, like, you could just take the processor and freaking plug it in and then close it up, and you were good to go. I have a new rig on the way that I just ordered. It's like the first PC that I've actually just am buying with somebody else assembling it in probably the last 20 years at least. And I'm just like, I was thinking back to building those PCs back in, you know, 1998, where I was just like, all right, the processor, you know, I'm like handling it with my bare hand. The processor goes in here, and then you just close it up, and you press the button, and it turns on.
It's just like Lego.
It's so far beyond me now. That I'm just like having somebody else do it.
It's amazing how it's kind of evolved, which is kind of leads into the next thing I wanted to discuss, which we've kind of almost talked about already. Your thoughts on sort of the evolution of gaming from the 90s and noughties into now is just, obviously the gap is huge, but where do you think it's going to lead? How good can it get? It's quite a broad question.
It is. No, it is. I mean, I think that like the virtual reality space is going to be massive. I still think there's a lot of problems with VR. Most of them are just like technological hurdles that I think that companies just need to get past. Like the last time that I maybe I don't have the rig that I'm getting is going to be VR ready, but I don't have a headset or anything like that. And I'm interested in it, but the last couple times that I've had like a VR experience or used VR, I think that the tech is close, but it's just not quite there yet. Like when I think of VR, maybe it's just like my own personal expectations.
Sure.
That VR is going to be like everything you've seen in a movie or something like that. You know what I mean? Like Ready Player One type VR. But the times that I've used VR, and maybe it's just the headsets, maybe it's even progressed in the last several years since I've used it, but the resolution on the headset seems very low.
It's difficult where it's so close to your face, isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly. And so like the resolution has to be like incredibly high, and I just don't think the technology is there for that yet. And it ruins my immersion. And maybe I'm expecting too high of a level of immersion, but that ruins my immersion when there's like when the resolution on the screens, which you said are like right in your face, are so low that it just kind of throws me off a little bit. But you know, I mean, we've just seen in the last not even since the 90s, but I think that from then to now, that the like single player experience of games has been pushed aside in favor of like a hyper competitive model of gaming, like
Yeah.
competing against others in the game rather than like a more like cinematic experience. And not to say that all single player games are just like watching cutscenes for hours, but the more like cinematic, like movie you're participating in experience of games, which is like kind of was the experience of me.
Metal Gear Solid springs to mind for me.
Has now moved over to kill the other guy as quickly as possible, or team-based kill the other guy as quickly as possible. And I gotta say, I'm not a single-player gamer. I don't really. It's like single-player story-based games are not my forte.
Okay.
I actually don't prefer them. So I actually prefer some of the more hyper-competitive type games.
So you don't play any story-based now?
What's that?
Like, because obviously you started off on story-based games because it was all that there was, but you don't play any now, really, or?
Not really. I mean, there's a few here and there that will grab my attention, but for the most part, there's not a lot of games, especially within the last 5 years, that have a single player story-based game where I've been like, I want and am excited to play that game. It's I'm a competitive person by nature, and so I think that those other types of games speak to me. I want to compete. I want to win the game rather than. Sorry, I live on a busy road. I want to win the game rather than play the game. If that makes sense.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, everyone's got their preferred genres. I mean, multiplayer, like you say, has taken off the last few years, and it's more reachable, I guess, than single player games. There's just not enough of them out there.
You think? I'm going to turn this around. Do you think that it is? Do you think that the reason that is because it's harder to create a single player experience, or do gamers expect? And I know personally that's true for me. When I purchase a game, I expect to play it for 200 hours. Now that doesn't always happen.
Isn't realistic.
Right. That doesn't always happen. And even with games that I enjoy, that doesn't always happen. But when I buy a game for, especially a full priced game for $60, I expect to get a lot of time with that game.
Yeah.
And a lot of the single player games are like 40 hours, 50 hours, but the care that goes into them is like much higher than just like, when you throw out a shooter game, like the care to the story and the voice acting and the cinematics and things like that. Do you think that has a part of it as well?
I think people are just really difficult to please now, to be honest. And I think The Last of Us 2 is a prime example of that. I don't know if you've seen any of the chat that's gone on about it, but people have been slagging off for various things left, right, and centre. And I think it's just with story-based games, people want it to play how they want it to play, and if it doesn't go the way they want it to, they're not happy about it.
Right, then it's garbage. This is a terrible game. Yeah, I've even seen like some of the. Well, this is just an example of like the internet being the internet, but like some of the voice actors getting like
abuse,
for like the way what their characters did in the game
because they didn't want to play as them in the game or something. Like,
right.
And I think that's what makes it difficult for the devs now. Is with a multiplayer game, there's not so much of that as an issue because it's a bit more simplistic, isn't it? Like, it's two teams fighting each other at the end of the day. Whereas, I guess that's more about the mechanics of the game than the depth of it.
Yeah, no, I think you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. And that's why I enjoy those games, because for me, gaming, although it started as like a story that I enjoyed being part of, it's now evolved into I like to play the game because of how the game works.
Yeah.
And a good example of that for me is I've always kind of been into MMOs, and they burn really hot and bright for me, and then I don't play them for 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
But the MMO that captured my attention most recently and that I'm not currently playing is Final Fantasy 14.
Okay.
And I don't give a single shit about the story of Final Fantasy 14. People are like, Fshsuit, the story is amazing. And what did you think about when this happened to this character? And I'm like, dude, I skipped every single cutscene in the game because I don't care. All I care about in that game is how fun and unique the mechanics are and how the game plays. And that just transfers over to so many other games as well. It's for me now is I'm there for the experience of the gameplay, not the experience of the story.
Sure. No, I get that. And I think with the big MMOs, aren't most of them just about grinding? They're not really story based, a lot of them, are they?
I mean, I haven't played World of Warcraft for probably almost 10 years, but I know that that was another game where I just was not interested in the story. But I will say that there's some people who are like, have PhDs in the lore of Azeroth.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there's people who can answer like extremely specific questions about that, you know, that universe that Blizzard created. So I think at the end, eventually, I think all MMOs turn into a grind for gear. It's the story that leads up that captures some people. But for me, it's all about how powerful my character is and what my character can do and how this works and how the raid mechanics for this boss, where I have to be at this time. And I love that aspect of it.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I forgot to kind of mention it when we talked about the first time you were gaming. What age did you start getting into the tabletop gaming? Because obviously you're into Dungeons and Dragons and the like, so...
Not until I was an adult.
Okay.
I mean, not until the last probably 7 to 8 years is when I started to get into D&D. I'm trying to think of the actual like kind of genesis of it. I think that I had watched a lot of like YouTube D&D, Acquisitions Incorporated from the Penny Arcade crew, the guys who do the Penny Arcade comic and expo.
Okay.
They every one of their PAX expos, every one of their PAX shows, they do like a live stage show of the D&D campaign that they're playing, and I really enjoyed watching those. And eventually it just turned into, I think I asked a friend, you know, would you be interested in DMing? I've never played before. Would you be interested in being our dungeon master for a campaign? And I remember just before we asked that friend, my brother and I sat down with like the starter set for a campaign called The Lost Mind of Phandelver, which is what we're playing on my stream right now. Every other Tuesday we play it. And we sat down and tried to figure it out. And kind of like if you have two people who don't know what they're doing, trying to figure out how to make a D&D character, it is like exceptionally difficult. And so I think we just sat there for like 2 hours. We're just like, screw this. Like we cannot figure this out. But then, you know, we luckily didn't give up and got my friend to kind of help us do that. And we ran part of a campaign then with some friends, and my now wife, Book Fairy, was in that campaign as well. And it just went from there. And then we stopped. That campaign fell out like so many IRL campaigns do. And then we started to play a little bit on stream, and it was pretty well received. But again, like it's just so hard to keep a group together. I'm very lucky that we've been able to play this game for the last 4 months or so, because it's just, as an adult, it is hard to get 4 other adults to be able to
consistent
and do something for 4 hours, even if it's only twice a month. So but yeah, I mean that's a relatively recent, and I'm super into it now too, man. I think about it a lot. I'm running several different campaigns now, but definitely a new chapter of gaming for me is the tabletop stuff.
No, it's cool that you're still enjoying it. I mean, people that don't know, check out Fshsuit's YouTube channel. I assume it's just Fshsuit as...
I don't think I have a custom URL. Let me give you the 15-character hashtag that you have to go type in. No, I mean, if you just Google Fshsuit on Twitch, I'm sure you can find it.
And all your Dungeons and Dragons.
And there's also a link on my Twitch page, I'm sure, somewhere. And if there's not, I'll go put one in right after this.
Yeah, you're not very professional of your Fshsuit.
Yeah, listen, nothing but the best here.
So let's take it away from gaming for the moment and talk about kind of more real life stuff. What kind of hobbies do you have growing up then and now that aren't related to gaming? Is there any, or?
I mean, it's always been definitely like first and forefront as I've been a video gamer. Very much so. I mean, obviously, I would say that streaming became a hobby.
Hmm.
You know, I started the stream. I streamed for the first time in 2016 and I streamed for about a month. I was playing Hearthstone. I was like, and still an addiction. I literally finished the game before we started here. So
Right.
like it's even after 4 plus years, Hearthstone is still like a everyday game for me. But I streamed Hearthstone for about a month, and then um, it took a year off basically. And then when PUBG came out, my friends and I were just completely addicted to it, and we started streaming that. So I mean, I would say definitely for the last 3 years, my main hobby has been to stream.
Sure. You were never into sports or anything like that at a young
I enjoy
age, or?
sports. I'm more of a casual fan than anything else.
Mhm.
There were times in my life where I was like really into like I love to watch live sports. So like the feeling of like going to the ballpark or
Gotcha.
I like baseball, I like hockey, I like football.
That's
Real
American football, by the way. That's
real
the
football.
with the egg.
So I really like live sports. There was a time in my life where I would enjoy sitting down and watching a baseball game on TV. I just don't enjoy that anymore. It's
Mhm.
just not something that I would rather, I don't know, be gaming, I guess, or doing something else. But definitely like going to see live sports is something I enjoy. Going to the baseball game I would still love to do that. Um, and I love live hockey. We have strangely enough, there's two teams in Florida that are sort of equally close to where I live here in Fort Myers, and so
This is ice hockey.
yes, ice hockey, yeah, and going just an hour and a half drive, basically either team that I want to go see. I've done that fairly frequently, and I still enjoy doing that. It's just like I wouldn't rank it as among my top hobbies anymore. I'm married now, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah, it's once you get settled down and you got a house to look after and all that, it's not as easy to do what you want to do, is it?
Yeah, I mean, I remember like literally sitting around when I was single, um, it's like a Sunday afternoon and just being like, I'm bored, and then going like to StubHub and buying tickets and driving 2 hours to the hockey game and doing that. You know what I mean? That's just kind of like that. That's not something that's super in the cards anymore. Um, but I'm also like I've at various points in my life I've been like super into fitness and exercise, and
Okay.
I'm definitely on one of those kicks right now. I hope that's not a kick that it's a that's a permanent like lifestyle change, and I feel that like internally I feel that.
Has
But
lockdown driven you to it?
I'm sorry.
Did lockdown drive you to that?
Yeah, definitely part of it. I had started before that.
Okay.
A little bit, but I definitely like. I mean, I mean, I'll just give you some like insight, I guess. I'm sure that there's some of the story that you know and some you don't, but I would say back in 2000, I used to work at Blockbuster, and any one of the people from my channel who's watching this right now just sprained their eyes because they rolled them so hard because that's a absolute meme on my channel. The Fshsuit used to work at Blockbuster. But yeah, I was a manager at Blockbuster. I was making some pretty decent money as the store manager, and Blockbuster's closed down about 2008, 2009.
Still sad about it.
Closed, and I was unemployed. And at the time, I weighed over 300 pounds. I was smoking a pack a day, and it was I was working at Little Caesars, which is I don't know if you have those in the UK, but
It's a restaurant, I take it.
Yeah, it's like pizza place. It's like a really cheapo pizza place. You can like $5 pizzas, and I would consider that like a very low point in my life. And I got back into. I enrolled back in school because I dropped out of college in my like when I was a teenager, 18 or 19. I went for a couple of years and then dropped out, and then went and started working retail jobs and got this fairly decent job at Blockbuster. So I re-enrolled in school, and that kind of started this whole like change in me where I was like, you know, I can do better than this. I'm better than what's happening to me right now, and I know that I'm smart enough to be able to like pull myself out of this hole that I'm in.
Sure.
And so I started to exercise. Then I lost a bunch of weight, stopped smoking, and I lost like over 100 pounds
Bloody hell.
during that time, and was running. That was my thing. I was running, and so I ended up running 3 marathons, countless other like 5Ks and stuff like that. And then it's a combination of like some like breakups, and some like other personal struggles, and I put like a lot of the weight back on, not all of it, but a lot of it. And I would say like around December of last year, I started to be like, all right, we need to get this under control. I was starting to feel some like health effects from the weight and just being unhealthy. And so right before the lockdown, like in February, I bought an elliptical machine. And
I don't know what that is.
I know that Book Fairy and I were both worried that it was going to be like a really expensive clothes hanger. But
what'd you do with that? What is it?
It's an elliptical. It's also called a cross trainer. You have the 2 things, and you do like this, and
sure, call it by the normal name.
And so I got one of those, and I've been using it every day. I've dropped to like 35, almost 40 pounds since the beginning of the year, and definitely lockdown. I was also vaping. I started vaping again. No more vaping. I stopped vaping back in March. As soon as I read the article that was like, the best time to quit vaping is right now before you die of the coronavirus. And I was like, oh, okay, article. I don't know why. Like sometimes, you know, something just clicks like, yeah, of course I should not be vaping. Like, duh.
There's always someone that's going to kill you.
Yeah, I was like, okay, yeah. So it took some stupid article in the New York Times to be like, yeah, you know, maybe this whole inhaling vapor is not a great health benefit. So I stopped that, and you know, I'm on that path now. So I mean, I don't know if you could call that a hobby, but
I think yes, yeah.
Like, it's certainly important to me right now to stay healthy and to eat right, and I'd like to relive some of those past triumphs of you know, finishing races and things like that. That was really important to me, and I think I forgot how great that, just how much that boosts my self-esteem.
Sure. No, fair play to you, man. It's a good road to be on. I mean, I wish I could borrow some of your motivation to do some exercise.
Yeah, I brew up my own, you know what I mean? It's like...
No, it's good. So you mentioned working at a pizza place. I got to ask you what your favorite pizza topping is, assuming you have one.
Yeah, you know, I honestly like. I'm a pepperoni. I like pepperoni. You can't get away from the classic, but
It's a safe
bet. I'll throw out a couple wild cards here.
Don't say pineapple.
Oh, I love a Hawaiian pizza.
All right, so Hawaiian that's pizza. The end of getting to know.
Right, well, thanks for having me. No, I love a Hawaiian pizza. Pineapple and bacon, like, get out of here. That's amazing. Let me throw a wild card at you here, just because pepperoni is such a boring answer. I like a pizza with fresh garlic and broccoli on it.
Just when you think you know someone. What is this?
It's so good. It's so good. Broccoli and cheese. Like, don't you like broccoli cheddar soup? It's like you get that experience, but it's on a pizza.
Mate, if it's green, I won't eat it.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm one of them, I'm afraid. I mean,
you said you were going to throw a new one.
So
we've also done one of these getting to know fours. He's done some pretty out there pizzas as well. So
yeah. Some I look at and think, oh, that looks nice, and then some are just like, done the right.
I think I'll pass on the marshmallow and gravy. I don't know what was it.
Marshmallow and gravy.
Like a s'more pizza. Yeah, the marshmallow gravy pizza.
So I like to ask people some top threes. I mean, it's a good segue now.
Sure.
So if we start with top 3 films for you.
Big Lebowski, number 1. It's a movie that you cannot... if you've never seen the movie before, I would recommend not sitting down with me and watching it, because it's one of those movies where I will start laughing 5 minutes before the funny thing happens, and then I'll say the line with the character, and I know it's just like extremely obnoxious all around to watch that movie with me. Love that movie. Seen it, you know, 20 plus times. It's so good. I love Shaun of the Dead. I think that's a really fantastic film. I like all their movies, really. I think that's my favorite though, the strongest one. It's another movie that like it's just infinitely quotable.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah.
It's so good. We had a movie night a couple of years ago, and we just all sat around like memeing the entire time with everything with that film. It's so good. And just as a non-comedy, although I could probably just list like 10 comedies that I like.
We know your genre then.
Yeah. Oh, my genre is comedy for sure. You know, I just like. It's hard for me to sit down and want to watch something that's going to make me feel like really heavy thoughts. Sometimes, like I have enough of those kind of.
Sure.
So, but there's a movie called The Prestige. It has Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman, and it's about some magicians at the turn of the century, and they're like in this competition for like to see who can have the best magic trick or whatever. And maybe my definition there, my synopsis there sounds really lame, but it's actually a great film. It's a Christopher Nolan movie as well. So, you know that he puts out quality products. Great movie. It's the kind of movie where you watch it and then immediately when the movie's over, the only thing you want to do is go back and restart it because of the twists and stuff that happen. You just want to be like, what just happened? Like I gotta know more about that. So yeah, that would be my top 3.
Okay, cool. I mean, I haven't seen the first one you said. What was it?
The Big Lebowski?
Yeah, I haven't seen that before.
Oh my God.
I wasn't sure whether to mention it because you might get mad.
It's incredible. All right, this interview's over with. I flipped my own table. It's incredible. It has Jeff Bridges in it, John Goodman, Steve Buscemi. It's really funny. Yeah, I mean, I can't do it justice with the synopsis, but like, go watch it. I think the humor is like right up your alley.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, that's my homework after this is to try and find that film.
Did you write it down?
And watch it. It's in here, mate. It's in here.
Okay. All right. You're recording for posterity as well.
Yeah. So. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Top 3 bands or artists.
Okay. Number 1, Easy is a band called the Mountain Goats.
Okay.
Which I'm sure you've never heard of before, which is okay. It is the Mountain Goats is primarily a singer-songwriter named John Darnielle, and he has been making music since like 1992. And he started out making music just by recording himself singing with an acoustic guitar into like an old like Casio boombox. So his first 10 years of albums are just that. And they are incredible. And they started making studio music in the early 2000s, and he releases like basically an album a year. Our mutual friend, Lindy, Blackout Lindy, is a big fan as well of the Mountain Goats. For huge portions of my life, we're talking like 8 years at a time. It's the only band I listened to.
Right. Okay.
Like there was no other music in my life. It was the Mountain Goats, and that was it. Fantastic music. Still love it. I still listen to an album. I listened to an album the other day while I was exercising. I mean, it's just like I just love it. And then there's everything else.
Not letting you get away with that one.
I really love a band called Band of Horses. They haven't released anything in.
Is it just animal bands that you like then?
Yeah, Band of Horses, the Mountain Goats, and then
the Tiger Cubs.
I lost the thread. I can't think of a third. Band of Horses is good. I like indie rock. I like on the stream I always refer to it as sad boy indie rock. So I like indie rock, like kind of a cross between like emo and rock and roll kind of indie rock. And I would say a band called the Decemberists.
Okay.
I'm a huge fan of the Decemberists. I've listened to their music for a while. It's a lot of it has to do, Louis, with like I used to play guitar quite a bit. I guess I should have included that in hobbies. I haven't in the last several years had much of a chance to sit down and play guitar, but a lot of it has to do the bands that I like. A lot of it has to do with bands that I used to enjoy playing their songs on guitar, and so Decemberists was definitely one of those bands too.
That makes sense. I did see the guitar behind you. I was going to ask you to do a song, but you know, it's worth a try. Are you a reader? I was going to say top 3 books, but I don't know if you're much of a reader or not.
I am not much of a reader, but I do listen to a ton of audiobooks.
Okay.
And I listen to a lot of currently, especially listen to a lot of like pulp, like fantasy novels. So like I really like this whole series by R.A. Salvatore. It's like the Dark Elf series.
Mm-hmm.
The first book in that is called The Crystal Shard. These are all based in the same world as D&D, so it's like Forgotten Realms stuff.
Gotcha. Okay.
But that series of books, when I was in the 7th or 8th grade, so I don't know how old you're in the 7th or 8th grade. I don't know, 13, 14.
Mm-hmm.
My parents were really concerned because I wasn't much of a reader, and a teacher got me into those books, and I just like could not put them down. I could not stop reading them. So I read like a ton of those novels. I would say just in general, like R.A. Salvatore books are, I really love those. But I mean, you're right to say that I'm not much of a guy. I'm not a guy who's going to, especially since my wife is a librarian. It's maybe a little shocking. But,
maybe you just fed up with them.
Really, that's not something I'm really into, sitting down with a book. I have read a bunch of graphic novels that I enjoy. There's a one called Why the Last Man, which I read for many years that I really enjoy. I've read like the Walking Dead graphic novels. And there's one that I'm into right now called East of West, which is very good.
Okay.
I don't know if we want to include those in books, but I really enjoy those.
I mean, yeah, they come under the same umbrella for me, I think.
Sure. Yeah, me too. I mean, it's just like to sit down and actually like read a novel is not something that I just feel like it's like such a time investment. Whereas if I'm listening to an audiobook, I could do something else. I recently, like one of the most recent like pieces of fiction that I read that wasn't like fantasy related was Bird Box. They had the Netflix movie that was based on it, and the Bird Box book was really good. I really enjoyed that.
Was that when they had to cover their eyes?
Yeah, that's right. Else? Yeah, the one with Sandra Bullock. Yeah, so they made a movie out of it based on a book, and it's a little cliche, but I did actually enjoy the book more than the movie.
It's always the way, isn't it?
It's every time. Yeah, every time.
So if I want to end the top 3s on, obviously the one I should be asking is your top 3 games of all time. If you could, I'll allow a 5 if you can't do a 3, because I know it's difficult.
It's very generous. Top 5. Let's say top 3 games. I'm gonna say in no particular order. Super Mario Sunshine.
Okay.
Is probably my favorite Mario game of all time. Really important to me. Really fun game. Spent a lot of time playing that. Reminds me of like a certain time. Do games ever do that for you too? You play a game as a nostalgia piece, or you think about it and it reminds you of a certain like time
I think so. In your life? A simpler time. When we used to be able to go outside.
I would say Hearthstone has got to be in that list.
Is that the card one? It's something to do with cards, right?
The digital trading card based game from Blizzard. That is a game that I have spent probably around 4,000 hours playing. So
wow.
It's both my favorite and my most hated game of all time, because it's a game where you just absolutely rage. And I don't show much of it on stream or in like public life, but if I lose a game that I feel like I should have won, I'm a pretty angry person. But there's no holes in the walls or anything like that here, but
just a little bit of a scream here and there.
Be upset for several minutes.
Yeah.
So Hearthstone's got to be on the list. I mean, I think anything you spend 4,000 hours doing, it's part of what you enjoy doing. You must be.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds on the list.
Ooh.
And the reason that it's not a game that I'm like excited to boot up and play right now. It'll go in spurts where I'll spend like 30 hours over the course of a couple of weeks, like getting back into it and playing it, and then just like, this isn't. But I'll say PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds because of how it made me feel, how exciting it was when I was really into it. For the first 200 hours I played it, which is rare to get to squeeze that kind of enjoyment out of a game. And I have almost 1,000 hours in the game as is, but especially those first 200 to 300 hours where it was just like that's all I wanted to do was play it. That's all I wanted to do was sit with my friends and play the game, and for the game to deliver that kind of experience, even though it doesn't continue to deliver that experience, to me is really valuable. So, like 100%, I'll put PUBG on that list.
I think where that was one of the first, it wasn't the first battle royale, but one of the more mainstream ones. It was nothing else like it, you know.
I mean, I think it put the genre on the map for sure. I mean, there was a time where it was just like, is Twitch ever going to be anything but PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds?
Yeah,
because it was PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds 1, and then everything else number 2. That's just how insanely popular it was.
Shows how quickly something can drop off as well.
Yeah, it shows how quickly. I think the fall of PUBG shows very specifically what happens when you don't listen to your player base. Not that everything that your player base says you should do immediately go and do. I think that a game like the Division 2 shows you that you definitely shouldn't listen to everything your player base tells you to go and do. Because that's what they did, and they ruined their game.
Just for context, that's where they lowered difficulty, essentially.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people that were like, this is too hard, and then they made it so easy that it wasn't fun for anybody to play. Or it was only fun for people who like, I want to play for an hour a day and have the most insane weapon in the game. You know, they got it. I mean, they asked for it and they got it. But yeah, PUBG didn't listen to their players, and they were like, we're the number 1 in the world and we'll always be here. And then Fortnite's like, hold my beer.
Yeah.
And like kind of overnight, within 4 months, 5 months, they had switched spots. And then I don't know, is Fortnite still a thing? I was never into Fortnite.
I wish it didn't exist.
Is Fortnite a thing anymore? I honestly don't know. I can't tell you the last time I sat down and watched somebody play Fortnite. Probably Boom Byron, the last person I watched.
And that was some time ago.
But yeah, I mean, it's just they were number 1. They had the world, they had the Twitch by the balls basically, and then they were like, we're good forever.
Of course they would
changes or fix any of the issues. And then, I mean, you still go and play the game today. They just released a new map, like probably within the last 6 months or so, and we went back and played it a little bit, and it was fun. But man, there's still stuff that's just broken.
Cheaters.
It's a 3-year-old game at this point, and you haven't fixed some of that stuff yet.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
They were too focused on things like loot boxes and stuff like that.
Yeah, they were trying to monetize their game. Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of companies go down that road, and it's not necessarily always a good thing.
No, but also, like, you gotta. I don't know if you ever get like this, but sometimes when I'm playing a game and I'm really, really enjoying it, sometimes I almost get like sad because eventually it won't be fun anymore. I know that's probably just like, maybe it's just like my own personality, but sometimes I'll be like, this is so fun. This is going to suck when it's not fun anymore. So like I
instantly thinking about the bad thing.
Yeah. I just like embrace the bad, the horrible feelings. But I think that, for games like that, where you maybe, I mean, obviously there's a lot of games that switch over to the free to play model now where they're, and supporting themselves through transactions like that, loot boxes and things.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if it's better for longevity for games like that or not, because I've seen games that I really enjoyed came out that were free that, just like the rush goes through and everybody plays it and then it's dead and gone forever. And I think that's sad to see, because some of those games have a lot more to offer, but because there was a flash in the pan, it's now over with. I have some mixed feelings on microtransactions. I mean, I'm never a guy who's I don't care what my character looks like in the game. I mean, just for example, in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds in PUBG, my character is like essentially nude. Like she's wearing, like she wears underwear and like a army jacket. Like that's it. I don't.
It doesn't have any bearing on the game, does it?
No, exactly. And I just don't care about that stuff. If they give it to me for free, like a game like Overwatch gives you stuff for free, loot boxes for free, then sure, I'll put it on. But I'm never, ever going to spend my real hard-earned money on fake clothes for my online dolly. You know what I mean?
That's the best way I've heard it put ever, I think.
I mean, that's what it is, though. It's like you're spending money to dress up your online dolly.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna dress up my dolly, like, and I'm gonna put a costume on her. It's like, I don't give a shit about that, dude.
See, there's an example of microtransactions. Is I know you won't know about FIFA, but they've got a mode called Ultimate Team where you can buy packs of cards and you get a chance of getting different quality players. So you have to buy their FIFA points, which are like crap loads of money for a certain amount of FIFA points, and so it's pay to win essentially. That's
the only reason
I hate that.
The only reason I'm familiar with that is because I've read articles where children spend like $30,000 of their parents' money on cards without them knowing.
It's tragic, but it's just dirty. This just shouldn't be a thing. I think there's actually a law being passed here soon, or has been, regarding microtransactions and loot boxes. So I think they'll be clamping down on it.
Well, some of the countries in the EU as well have done like have considered loot boxes like a form of gambling, and so they've outlawed it in that way. And so that's the strategy they're pursuing is like, well, we're going to call this gambling, and then we can regulate it a little bit more. I'm not necessarily against that. However, I think that if you can earn the thing free,
that should be the way.
And that it should be fine. So I'll go back to like Overwatch's loot boxes. Like, I don't see a problem with that. You can buy them, sure, if you want to buy them. You can also earn them for free just by playing the game. And I've never spent a dime, and I've gotten 300 plus loot boxes or whatever. You know, it's like, and I don't really care about that to begin with, but I mean, if you give them to me for free, I'll open them. Sure.
Sure. You still got that kind of excitement when you unlock stuff from playing the game, you know? It's like, oh, free stuff.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, I'll put this on my character. I'm not going to buy it, but if you give it to me because I earned it, sure, I'll put it on.
Sure. That was a good segue, actually. I never thought to bring up loot boxes and microtransactions. It's quite a hot topic now over here. So
sure,
it's good to kind of put it to rights a little bit, you know? So if we go, because obviously primarily this chat is regarding being a content creator, so we talk more about your streaming side of things. I know you aren't as active as you used to be. I don't know if you want to sort of explain why you've taken less days or anything, if it's a private thing, like
no.
You don't need to say, but obviously you used to be daily streamer, but you're only about maybe 2 times a week now.
Yeah, I'd say. Well, I just switched back up to 3 days a week. I was streaming 5 days a week. Yeah, it's been a weird journey. I looked back the other day at sort of when I started streaming, and the most time that I put in on stream was my second month ever. It was August 2017, and I think that I streamed every single day.
Yep.
For hours, 6-7 hours at a time. And,
while working a job.
While working my full-time job, yeah. I'd come home from work and then just stream until midnight, and then be up until 3 a.m. thinking about the stream, and then go back to work the next day.
Jeez, it's not healthy.
No, it absolutely wasn't. It absolutely wasn't. Yeah, I mean, in some ways, I feel like a failed streamer in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. Why?
I know that's there's an internal thing. Like, I know logically that my stream is fine. You know what I mean? Like, I know that my stream is not a failure. I know that logically, but emotionally, sometimes I feel like, and I think it just has to do with the amount of time and effort and energy that you put into something. And I'm used to just thinking about like the times that I've gotten fit and exercised and lost weight. The time that I've put into that, I've gotten out, and it's something that I can tangibly know that if I watch what I eat and I exercise and I put this in, that what comes out is a healthier me. And I know that my amount of effort matches what the payoff is. And Twitch is totally not that. You can put an insane amount of effort an insane amount of work, an insane amount of your heart and yourself into your stream, and just get nothing back.
Sure.
And that's not to say, I'm not saying that I've gotten nothing back, because it's exact opposite. I've gotten just the intangibles that I've gotten out of streaming are insane to think about from where I started. But also, I have not reached goals that I wanted to reach.
I think that's the big one, right? Obviously,
I want to have a check mark next to my name. I've made it known since I started streaming that I want a purple check mark next to my name, that I want partnership with a site. And I came so tantalizingly close. There was a few months last summer where I just was on a game. It was called Minion Masters. I was on a game. I was on it at the right time. It was blowing up, and I got right to the doorstep, and I was able to apply for partnership, and I didn't get it. And then when I didn't get it, everything just fell apart. And it's solely on me, because I was so disappointed and depressed that I was denied that partnership, that I just let it kind of slip away from me. And then for the last year, I've definitely felt like it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle to stay motivated. But then it's just double-edged sword, because it's like I'm putting effort in, but I'm not getting the goals back. So then I stopped putting as much effort in. I was like, I can't possibly keep doing this. I can't possibly at this level keep spending all of my spare time and mental energy thinking about the stream and wanting to do things for the stream and creating things for the stream and spending money on things for the stream and doing this and that when I'm not getting back what I expect or what I want to get back out of it. And so then my mental health was just like severely deteriorating.
Very draining. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it was like, and I've seen like so many mental health tweets and stuff over the last several months where it's like, I'm stepping away from streaming. I can't stream anymore. Streaming only makes me feel disappointed. And I feel that like so deeply. Like there's times where I got off stream and just, it was so like lightly attended and I had no chat or whatever. And I just cried. I mean, I just got off stream and cried. I felt terrible. Like if you want something so badly and you're doing everything that you think is correct to get what you want, to reach your goals, and you're still not getting them, it leaves you in this like really vulnerable place.
Oh, without a doubt.
And so around I think January, February this year, maybe even just like January, I was like, I made an announcement to my community. I made an announcement on Twitter that said, I can't keep up this pace right now. It is literally killing me. I feel less excited about the stream and more disappointed every time I stream now. And so I don't want that. I still have a lot of passion for this. You know what I mean? Like if I didn't care, then fuck it. You know what I mean? See you guys later. If I didn't care, but I care so much about it, and I care so much about the people that I've gotten to know, and the people that I have met through this. So I just made an announcement with everybody, like, I'm stepping back. I do a co-stream with my buddy, a Twitch partner, Federal Ghosts, every Friday. I was like, I'm going to continue to do that.
Yeah.
And on Saturday night, we will play games together as a community, but I can't work for 8 hours and then come home and stream for 4 hours and then think about the stream for another 3 hours. I just can't do that anymore.
No, it's too taxing. Yeah.
It was just mentally, physically draining, just to, and to feel like I'm putting all the work in, but then it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And you're seeing numbers drop off and drop off and drop off. And, so yeah, that was several months ago. I'm happy to say that I'm in like a much better place now.
Good.
Both, mentally, as far as my enthusiasm for streaming, way better. I started that D&D stream, that we reintroduced a stream, back into the weekdays. And that helped, because that's a stream where I'm hanging out with my buds and we get to play this fun game, and I hope we're telling a fun story. And now I've reintroduced, that's every other Tuesday, that D&D. And now I've reintroduced a regular Tuesday stream. So on off Tuesdays, I'm also just going to do like a short stream with the community where I'll meet up and we'll play. Then that's a time where I'll play some like just kind of chill, relaxed game where we can hang out and chat. Last week we played a game called Islanders, which is just like a very slow paced game that's fun to sit and chill with chat. But sorry, I feel like I got away from your main question, but
that's fine, mate.
Yeah, I mean, I had to sit back and reassess how I was approaching streaming, and I don't want that check mark any less now than I did then. But I feel like it's like I almost think I felt like for a while that I could just brute force it. If I was on every day at the exact same time, then eventually, you know what I mean? It's just that's not how Twitch works. And so I had to come back and step back and say, what can I put into my content at a shorter with less time in? How can I make my content just that much better without having to sacrifice everything else for it? And so that's where I kind of am now. But now I have to say, like, my passion for it is in a lot of ways is reignited. I'm starting to open my mind back up to like, okay, well, maybe I can spend a few hours doing something like this for the stream because that's really interesting to me and I'd like to explore that. And so I'm finally sort of my brain is starting to open back up a little bit and say like, I shut it off. I was down to 6 hours a week of streaming, and now I'm in a better place where I can start exploring a little bit more and putting a little bit more back in.
Yeah. No, that's good. I mean, I apologize for putting you on the spot because I know it's probably not the easiest thing to have to talk about, but I appreciate you being honest about it and just saying exactly how you felt about it. And it sounds like you did the right thing.
Health. I mean, I think that's okay to talk about. I mean, I have struggled with depression since I was 12 years old. I mean, it's something I've always dealt with. I have a great deal of anxiety as well. I've struggled with anxiety issues. And when you're streaming and you have a lot of viewers and chats moving really fast and you feel like people are really like vibing with what you're doing, you feel like you're on top of the world. And that's what you see everybody's public face. That's what you see when their stream is like so hopping and everybody's in there and everybody's having a good time. You guys are sharing inside jokes and it's funny and fun. What you don't ever talk about or what people don't ever talk about is how disappointing it is when there's nobody there, when chat is dead and there's nobody there, because you as the streamer are putting in the same amount of effort that you put into that other stream. The streamer, everybody was there and having a good time. So
it's demoralizing.
It's crushing. It can be crushing. So, but you have to be able to be like super grateful to anybody who does show up on those dead days or anybody who does come in and then really that makes you appreciate even more of those times where it's just that banger stream that everybody's had. I mean, no big streams, small streams. I think everybody's had that, at least one banger where it's just like, this is, you get off stream, you end the stream. You don't even want to end the stream.
You just bounce in.
Such a good time. You don't even want to end it. And you end the stream and you just have a big smile on your face and you feel great. And that's what you chase every time as a streamer. But you have to be able to prepare yourself for that time when it's just like a regular old Wednesday stream or whatever, And then that can be really demoralizing, like you said, really crushing.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, not to make it about myself. Obviously, this is about you, but the reason I went away from streaming and went to YouTube is, like you say, you have the decent stream with 10 to 20 viewers, everyone's chatting. Next day, it's nothing. And I think you really notice that on Twitch because you can see the figures live. Whereas with YouTube, I don't even look at the analytics, like the views and all that. I don't really even think about it. So I think it was healthier for me to switch over to YouTube, which is like you did, like you took the break or sort of lowered your hours. It was healthier for you to do that, and now you can build your way back up.
Right. Yeah. I just had, it's just about the amount of effort I was putting in. And so I was able to scale that back and say, and it just like immediately was like, okay, I can take a breath now. I don't have to come up with 4 hours of content on a Monday where I'm feeling like shitty because I just had a bad day at work or whatever. And I can just focus on these 2 streams, which I know are going to be really good. And I can put
Yeah.
my maximum effort into these 6 hours that I'm going to be live. And I know that I will be proud of what I put into that rather than just doing it because I've always done it. Well, it's Thursday, so I have to stream. And, it's not that. It's like now I'm really like tonight, for instance, and I don't know when this is going to go live, but today is July 4th. And tonight we're going to have like a fun stream with a really bizarre game, a dodgeball, robot roller derby disco dodgeball game. It's going to be really fun. I'm really looking forward to it. And I had lost that.
Yeah.
That had went away where I was like, instead of like, oh, I can't wait to stream and see everybody who comes in, it was like, oh, man, I wish I could just like lay on the couch tonight.
Yeah, and what if no one turns up and all that is in your head, isn't it?
The what ifs that can just kill you. So
Byron did show me this dodgeball game, and it does look quite interesting.
It's gonna be insane.
So I'm gonna try and stay awake for a little bit to see it.
That's the worst part. These time zones, man.
Yeah, it does suck because obviously, you're 5 hours behind me, and you stream at what 11 my time normally. So what is that? 6 your time?
Yeah, that's right. It started at 6 Eastern time, which would be 11 your time.
So me being like 70 years old, I go to bed at about 10 o'clock. So it's just not going to happen on a regular.
Yeah, it's funny because like definitely like depending on what time you stream, your audience is completely different. It's just totally different. So for my stream time, I get night owls in most of Europe. And so I get those folks who are up like past midnight in Europe. Those are my viewers. Those are my those are my European viewers.
Yep.
And then I get people who in America on the East Coast, I get people who are like just coming home from work. Usually, like there's come from work, eating dinner, maybe sitting down and playing games for the first time. That day. Those are my East Coast US viewers. And then my West Coast US viewers, it is like lunchtime. You know what I mean? Like it is I am the work stream. So I'm the stream that people watch, when they're at the office or whatever. So it's a bizarre mix. It's like the degenerate night owls from Europe. You know what I mean? Like the people are up at like 2 a.m. watching Twitch. Yeah. Let's not beat around the bush here. We're talking about Boom Byron, that lecherous Boom Byron who's up at 3 a.m. But it's those folks, and then like people just eating dinner, and then there's people like just waking up for the day. It feels like almost. And so, and then if you look at somebody like Gamer Heroine, who streams during the day, in America, everybody she's like the work stream, and I sympathize with that because I watch her, when I'm at the office. And then, but for her, she's getting like prime time Europe.
Yeah.
Like she's on at prime time. Like she's on at, 7, 8 o'clock at night over there. And so she's getting those people who are kind of like my viewers on the East Coast US, but she's over in Europe. So it's like so bizarre to think about that. Let's not even get started with Australia. Okay. It is like 3 days from now in Australia. I don't understand how that works.
No, that gets a bit complicated at that point. Did you, kind of want to, that just made me think, did you pick a start time purposely? Did you have stuff in mind with that? Or did you just, just stream it this time? It just became your start time?
I think the start time picked itself because I work, because of how my work goes. And so when I first started, I was like when I first started, I would look down and be like, oh, I have been streaming for 13 hours. I should end the stream now. And now it's like, oh, okay, I've been streaming for 2 hours and 45 minutes. I maybe gonna call it a little early. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But I started streaming, and I think my start time was 5, and I get off of work at 4:30.
Wow, that's soon after work.
Yeah, and so I was just like getting off of work, coming home, immediately hopping into the stream. And so I was like, even then I was like, this is a little much. And so I'm going to give myself some time. So then I moved it to 6, and really it's been 6 Eastern Standard Time forever, like as long as I can remember. It's within the first few months of me streaming, I established a 6 as my start time, and it has been that way pretty much ever since. Now, that's not to say that sometimes I start early or do a special stream like you were able to attend my wife and my
Oh yeah,
anniversary
that was at
stream.
normal time, yeah.
And that was just like that was like early in the day for me, but it's like, you know, kind of like late or early evening for you over there. And but I mean, for the vast majority of time, I go live at the exact same time. I am a punctual person, so just generally, and so I press the button at the exact same time. Like I go live at 5:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a 10-minute, you know, waiting screen or starting soon screen, and then we start at 6, like every single time. And I think that inconsistency is extremely important if you want to establish an audience on Twitch. And I can't say enough about that. Like people say, I don't think you need to be consistent when you start. Maybe not exactly when you start like right away. But if you want to establish a regular audience of people who are going to make time and come and watch your stream, I can't understate the amount of importance that starting your stream at the exact same time and streaming on the exact same consistent days is important.
Yeah, people need to know when you're going live. At the end of the day, they need to, if they're going to plan their day around watching you,
right?
You know, so I understand. And that was one thing I could never get down. Schedule, it just didn't work for me.
Finding a schedule that works is, I mean, extremely difficult. Like I was just running myself ragged. I mean, I was streaming 5 days a week, and I was running myself ragged doing that. And I thought that schedule worked for a long time, and then I had to back way off because it was just like I was having a breakdown, and so backed way off. And now I can start to introduce some extra stuff and start to bring it back in slowly to see how I'm mentally able to handle it. Yeah. But really, I gotta say, I think that 3 streams a week is Fshsuit on Twitch. I think that's a very comfortable number for me. We have a good variety of stuff that we can do on those 3 days. Not to say there won't be some bonus streams or something like that, but for now, for the I would say short to midterm, 3 streams a week is great for me, and I'm able to hit and start those streams exactly when I say I'm gonna, and they'll go for exactly as long as they're gonna, and I still have time after the stream to relax and hang out with my wife and eat some food, and I can hang out after work and relax before the stream starts.
It's the perfect balance. Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to rewind over 3 years, and I want to know what got you into, what made you want to go on Twitch and be a streamer? Was there someone you watched and it got you into it, or?
Yeah, like I watched a embarrassing amount of Hearthstone streams. I was into Hearthstone. I was into the esports aspect of Hearthstone, so I watched a lot of not only the streamers but the competitions and the tournaments for Hearthstone.
Did not know it had esports for that game.
Dude, yeah, it's big. It was big. It's not big now, but it was big. I mean, we're talking like, hundreds of thousands of dollars prize pools. Big esports. Yeah, it was big for a while. They still have esports. It's not as popular as it was. Hearthstone itself is just not as popular as it was.
Yeah.
But so that's what brought me to Twitch. I mean, that's what brought me to Twitch originally was Hearthstone. And then like I said, I started streaming Hearthstone. It didn't really stick. And then a year later, I started back on PUBG. I think that what brought me back when I started to stream PUBG, what brought me back was that we were just having such a good time with the game, and I thought that me and my group of friends were like the funniest motherfuckers on the planet. We just had such a good time, and we would laugh and laugh and laugh until our stomachs hurt, and we would laugh more after that. And I was like, it'd be really fun to capture some of these moments and to be able to have these and look back on them and remember that time where you drove the motorcycle up the wall and then it exploded and killed everybody and that kind of, you know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. And so we started streaming because of that, because it was like, I want to be able to capture these fun, stupid, silly moments that are happening in this game. Because at the time PUBG was like, I mean, like it's broken now, but it was like really broken back then. And so all this crazy stuff was happening, and that's really why I started streaming. and I think I streamed for about 3 weeks then, and of course it was just like me and my 3 friends. You know what I mean? Like that's the people who were watching the stream. That was it.
Yeah.
And I was doing a lot of like research, and I was going to other small streams at the time too, and trying to meet some other small streamers at the time.
Networking.
Yeah, exactly. Doing what my version of networking at the time was, which was to like find another PUBG stream with 2 viewers and go in there and talk to them, because I know that they weren't used to that, and then hopefully that would translate into them like checking my stream out, and it did.
Yeah.
I mean, to a large extent, it did. There were some people that I met there that I still talk to, that I still know. But about 3 weeks in, I hosted another streamer who was playing PUBG at the time, and he had, I want to say like 11 viewers, which at the time to me was like,
wow,
oh God, he's made it.
Double
he
figures.
Has 11 viewers in his stream. Like, oh my, he's famous. So
notice me, senpai.
I hosted this guy with 11 people in his channel, and that person is now a Twitch partner who may be familiar to you, Geeksay.
Oh, okay.
Geeksay was the very first person I ever hosted on Twitch. I was like, I remember, I wish I could go back and look at it, because I was like, oh, should we host somebody? Let's go host somebody, you guys. Let's go host somebody. We didn't have emotes. You know what I mean? We had no emote. We were Saba pinging. We were spamming Saba ping because we had no emotes, because I wasn't even an affiliate yet. We went and hosted him, and that changed everything. I mean, I think I owe almost everything I have on Twitch to that singular moment in time when I randomly hosted him for the first time, because I just fell in love with him and his community.
Mm-hmm.
And we started to play games together, and then so many of his viewers came and checked out my stream and became my regular viewers. It's how I met Waffle Cone. It's how I met you, because that's how I met Waffle Cone. And so
yeah.
And so I owe so much to that moment in time. I forgot the original question here, Louis, but
so am I, thinking about it.
What was the original question?
It's fine. I like tangents. Like,
so why did I start streaming, or why did I start streaming? I started streaming to capture those funny moments. I kept streaming because after that moment, I felt everything change, and I felt like a month later I made affiliate, and thanks to the generosity of a few early viewers, I mean, I remember my brother saying to me, like, it'd be great if like you ever made enough money to just like buy a pack of beer off of this. Like you could buy some beer off of this, off of playing video games. And I think like on the second month on Twitch, I got like a $300 payout. And I was just like, and just to clarify, like it's absolutely 1000% never been about the money for me. Like I'm not a rich man, but I have a master's degree in my field, and I work in my field, and I have a very steady regular job. So I'm not hurting for any money I make on Twitch. I'm not hurting for. And so it's just to clarify that it's never really been about like I got my $2.50 from that sub, but that was astounding to me that people cared enough about the content that I was putting out to want to support me in that way, and that made me just want to work at it harder and harder and harder and harder and harder. And then for the next year and a half, 2 years, I ate, breathed, slept, thought about constantly every day Twitch and what can I do to make my channel better, and how can I grow, and what can I do today to help my my goals on Twitch. And so that's definitely like it just ramped up from there 1,000%.
Okay, yeah. I mean, the fact that it's the first time you get a payout, or even just someone subs, you kind of question why are you giving me money to watch me play a game?
I still think about that.
Why don't you just play yourself? But
listen, you son of a bitch.
It's just hard to get your head around, isn't it? That someone wants to pay you to play a game. But I think it says a lot about you, especially the community you built up and how quickly you moved, what a personality you are on Twitch. And I think the times that you get down on yourself is like, I personally am looking at myself, looking at you and think, well, that's silly because you're fucking awesome on Twitch, and it's just, I'm rambling a little bit because it's hard to get the right words out about it. But if people have wanted to start giving you money from that early on, you're obviously doing something right.
And I felt that too, and that's what made me want to put that effort in. That's what made me want to just like, okay, within 3 months of starting, 2 months of starting, here's where I am. Imagine what I could do if I put in double, triple the effort, and you know what I mean. And I think that's where I mentally, that's where I went wrong. That's where it went wrong, because Twitch, as the first thing I said to you, Twitch is not really about the effort you put in. It's not really that. You can't say, all right, I put in 3 efforts today and I'm getting 6 efforts back, or whatever. It's just to try to quantify it. It just doesn't work that way. There's absolutely some luck involved, but it's constantly just trying to put yourself in the best position. Especially if you want to do this as a hobby and you want to stream to like our buddy mutual, we'll say Waffle Cone again here.
Yeah.
He obviously doesn't stream anymore, but there was a point in time where he was taking it extremely seriously, and then there was a point where he just said, in a similar vein to what I said, like, this is a hobby, and whoever shows up, and I'm not going to be upset if 2 people show up, and I'm not going to be jumping over the moon if 20 people show up. I'm just going to get on here as a hobby, and if you want to come hang out, hang out. And I think that's like an extremely healthy attitude to have.
Yeah.
As well. But if you want to grow, if you want more than that, then you have to understand that you just have to keep positioning yourself in the best spot. You cannot brute force any kind of success in content creation.
Sure. And I mean, the amount of time you've streamed, obviously we've talked about the mental side of it, how it can affect you. But are there any other issues you've had in your time streaming, and anything that you'd possibly do differently? It's not so much the overdoing it, the draining mentally. Sure. Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, sure, there's stuff I would do differently. I mean, there's I think that sometimes, and this even happened with you, Louis. Let's go back. Let's just go back, because there's sometimes my person. Let's just get it out there. This may come as a shock, but my personality is not everybody's favorite. It's not everybody's favorite, and that's fine. My stream is not for everybody. I get it. I totally get that. There's not every stream is for me. There's some streams I go into I don't enjoy, and I totally understand that. But there was sometimes where I am very much a you come into my stream, I'll roast you and you roast me. That's just kind of an understanding that I think a lot of people have when they come in, is that I'm going to dish shit out to you, but please don't worry, because I can take it back from you as well. And that's our understanding.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think that I've been overly familiar with people too quickly, or think that they understand my personality and that I understand them more. And so I remember specifically one time when you came into my stream and we were talking about something, and you said something, and I said something that I've said pretty frequently on the channel: ban him. And everybody in my stream, like all my moderators, understand. And they might have even like timed you out or something, because that's like a stupid prank that we play. It's just like a funny little joke. So I was like, man, that guy, and I was kind of like with us, half smile. And then I think they timed you out, and then you left. And then you messaged me later, and you were like, did I do something? I don't understand what did I do to get banned from your channel? I was just like, I just said one, and I was like, I just immediately like stepped back, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It's absolutely a joke. Like, And I think that just that over familiarity with like, or I felt like yours and my relationship had like you understood me and I understood you better, and we just didn't. And I think that I like to think that everybody comes into the stream and I can immediately like if you just followed, I'm pretty much going to talk to you and treat you the same way as if a guy who's been there for several years and
which isn't a bad thing necessarily, because you're treating them the
it
same as your long time.
I wasn't clear that I was joking or memeing or whatever, and the fact that it happened to you did not. It's not the first time that's happened. I'm not going to talk about any other specific examples that times that's happened. But I mean, I'll tell you, those are extremely painful for me. I don't want anybody to come into the stream and think like I'm picking on this person or I'm bullying somebody who's coming in. Like, and I absolutely objectively can step back and say like, I understand the way you felt.
Yeah, and it was just a misunderstanding at the end of the day. There was no, there was no hurt feelings there. It was just misunderstanding. Talked it over. Back to normal.
And that's the cool thing is that you and I we're in a cool enough place to be like I could be like, dude, listen, I'm very sincerely sorry that you felt that way. It was not meant in that way at all.
And if you did it now, like I'd just tell you to piss off. So.
Right, exactly, because we're in that place now, and that's the thing. It's like now we have that familiarity. Now we have it, but sometimes I've been too quick to jump the gun, and I know that has rubbed people the wrong way before. It's one thing if you come in and you don't like, this isn't for me. It's another thing if you're like they come in and they're like, this streamer was an asshole to me for no reason.
Yeah,
and I know that people have probably come in, and I've probably mildly roasted them. And they have been like, well, this guy's not for me because he's mean, and whereas if you know my heart and you have been in the stream for any length of time, you understand that like there is no malicious intent.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
Not actually like, it's just, I mean, you troll in streams. Yeah. You've been known as a little bit of a famous internet
talking
troll.
about.
Let me pull up some screenshots here.
Mate, there's probably clips and everything.
So I mean, you get it too. Where I'm sure, Louis, some people have been like, this guy's a fucking asshole, but really, like, there's no malicious intent. Like this is how you interact with your friends. You know what I mean? And how I interact on the stream is how I interact with my friends. And if you come into my stream and you follow my stream and you're there, you are my friend.
And that isn't a bad thing by any stretch.
I don't think so, but some people are like, just have this. They have this expectancy, this expectation of what viewing a stream is going to be like, or what chatting to a streamer is going to be like, and that maybe is different when you come into my stream versus other streams, and or maybe it's not. I don't know, but I think that like if you talk to my in real life friends or my wife, like my brand of humor is to rib you, but I want you to rib me back because that's funny to me. Like you making fun of me is funny, and me making fun of you is funny, and because at the end of the day we know what's in each other's hearts. And so I think that if I was going to go back and I have folded this into my stream philosophy, which is that okay, maybe when somebody new comes in here, I need to dial it back a little bit until I really understand who they are, and then I have made that change.
No, that was a good one actually. Yeah, I mean, even if, because obviously as I know you now, I know none of that's ever malicious. But I guess it's good for you to step back, like you say, and realize, well, maybe someone is taking it in a different way. It's always good to.
I've hurt people's feelings, like legitimately hurt people's feelings. I didn't mean to, but I did, and I'm lucky enough to be able to. I have enough self-awareness to be able to be like, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? And I will sincerely apologize. I do this. I stream to try to entertain and to try to have fun for me and for you. And so if I violated some sort of a social contract that you had by coming to the stream and making you upset, then I'm sorry. You know, I'm legitimately sorry. And
I did cry myself to sleep that night, so I mean,
sure
have that
did.
on your
I'm
conscience.
Sure you did, yeah, it's hard to sleep with a soggy pillow, Louis.
It is, yeah. So just one, I suppose. I don't really know if it applies quite as much anymore, where you don't stream as much. But how, in the past, did you go about approaching raids? Because it may seem like a small thing in terms of, you know, oh, we just raid this person. But did you put thought into when you went to raid someone? Was there
as far
like
as, how we're gonna raid or who we're gonna raid?
Both.
Yeah, I think in the past I was a lot more adventurous with raiding. I was a lot more willing to be like, all right, we're gonna raid this person that we don't know, and good luck. But I think that almost nothing feels as bad as a bad raid as raiding a channel that does not give a shit that you are there.
So as if they don't even acknowledge it, or...
like barely acknowledge that you're there, almost like contempt. They have some contempt for the fact that you raided them. It's like,
what on earth is this?
Nothing feels as bad as that. Like, I've met some wonderful people through random raids. Geeksay among them.
Yeah.
Evil Penguin Bob. It was a random raid from the channel. We didn't know him from anybody, and we raided him, and now he's, you know, a good, I would consider a close friend.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like looking through my list of DMs on Discord. Just
he's cheating, everyone.
I mean,
he's cheating.
It can't be understated that like so many people I've met through random raids. But I would say that I'm much more reticent now to raid somebody that I don't know, because of just the failed raids that have happened. I believe strongly that if I don't know you and I raid you, and you know 5 of my viewers follow your stream and I follow your stream, that you at least give me the courtesy of following me back.
Mm-hmm.
That might be selfish. I truly don't know. That might be selfish. That might be unrealistic. But if somebody raids my channel that I don't know, I follow their fucking stream. It is free.
I would at least go and check them out, watch a couple of streams and see what they're about.
Just stop in. Hey, thanks for the raid. I can't tell you how far that goes. I cannot tell you how far that goes, how much that buys you. I mean, if anybody's out there who's like, I'm a new streamer, take that piece of advice. There's no reason not to. I mean, I have hit people with, back in the heyday, 50, 60 people, and they hardly acknowledge that we showed up. And that infuriates me.
Yeah.
That infuriates me. And I always raid people with less viewers than I had that night. I always try to. Because I know how cool that is, dude. I mean, when you're sitting there, 8 viewers, and you get hit with a raid of 20 people, and then suddenly there's 10 of them that stayed around and stuck around in chat for at least 15 minutes is probably the maximum that people are going to sit and hang out, unless you're lucky, you know, or you're doing something like really entertaining right at that moment, unless you're, you know, singing some Sia or something like that.
Well, I don't know what knobhead would do that.
Yeah, I don't think anybody does. That's silly. But I am excited when somebody hosts me with 2 viewers, because I'm excited that they are there.
Well, this actually brings me to the following part of the question: is like how do you cope with getting a raid, whether sizable or not?
I always greet. First of all, I always greet everybody that comes in that says anything in the chat. And I always, I don't know if this is maybe it's just like recently, but every time that somebody's rated me recently, I've been in the middle of explaining something. And so I have a background in improv comedy. That's part of like how I did a lot of improv in college, back when I was a in my early 20s.
Didn't bring that up as a hobby earlier.
Oh, yeah, Jesus Christ.
This is just things going to shit.
Listen, I'm so nervous. I'm talking to the Potato Zone. But so I always try to, like, if somebody raids me and I'm in the middle of talking about something, I always try to incorporate them into the thing that I was just explaining. And so, for instance, just as an example, Lindy raided last night, and I was explaining that we had some new channel point redemptions. So I was like, it's like I was talking, I was like, all right, so the 15,000 you can do emote only mode, and then Lindy raided, and I was like, for 35,000 you can get some Blackout Lindy nudes. And so I was trying, like, I think that it's awesome. I don't care if it's 2 viewers or 200 viewers. It is awesome to get a raid. It's awesome that somebody said, hey, to their community, hey, this guy's cool enough for you to go check out. And so go check him out. And it's, I mean, I love, it's great. It makes my stream. Meeting new people makes the stream. I mean, hands down. And if it's somebody that I don't know, all the better. I mean, Federal Ghost randomly raided my channel. I returned the courtesy to him because I think it is a courtesy just to at least check out their content. If somebody's going to send their community to you, it is only polite to go and give
Twitch
them a
etiquette.
follow.
Yeah.
Again, it's free. Like, I'm not saying you have to go and give them a sub or something. Like, it's just like so silly to me. It's like so selfish to me to be like, oh, I'm gonna save my infinite number of follows that I have for free. It makes no sense.
It's like, it's almost like people, they don't want to share their viewers with this person.
And
do you know
that's
what I mean?
Outrageous.
They want to keep the viewers to themselves. Oh God, they might go watch him otherwise instead.
Then if that's the content for you, then have at it. I mean, if you want that. But a lot of times, though, the thing is, a lot of times you're getting a raid from somebody who streams in a different time than you.
Yeah.
You're getting the raid because their stream is over and your stream is still going. So like that just doesn't make any sense to me. And I know that you're absolutely right. I mean, you're 100% right. Where people end the stream. I'm not going to raid. I'm going to end the stream because people like go over and enjoy this other stream. It's like, that is so just, it's such the antithesis to how I feel about Twitch.
Yeah. No, it's sad. I mean, I appreciate you coming on this today, man. I've kind of run out of questions and we've been talking for about an hour and a half now. I just appreciate your honesty throughout and the fact that you've managed to keep talking for so long without making me fall asleep.
Does that happen frequently on these shows?
No. Normally, it's normally when I go into your stream in the evening.
Oh yeah. No, that's yeah. See, that's the thing you could do is just put it on to fall asleep.
It works.
Is there a tag for like Dramamine on the?
Oh, there should be.
Yeah, there should be. I should be able to tag the stream as like a sleepy time night
sleep stream.
Is there anything... Thank you for having me, dude. Yeah, I've enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah, man. Is there anything you want to add? Is there anything you feel like we haven't talked about? Do you want to promote anything? You know, I'll put all your links underneath the video.
Yeah,
obviously.
Of course. I mean, just my stream. I mean, I would appreciate anybody. I hope I made it clear that I appreciate anybody who comes and hangs out and checks it out. I think we have a good time. We have a fun, tight-knit community. We explore a variety of fun games. I think you can. I like to think of the stream as a place where you can come and maybe see a game that you haven't seen before.
Yeah,
and then maybe
definitely
see something familiar as well, and be able to join in. You know, I mean, I'm always looking for people to play games with. So, of course, we're doing Dungeons and Dragons now too. So that's kind of a different kind of user experience. If you've never checked out or seen a live play of Dungeons and Dragons, it is so fun and so funny. And I end every stream with a giant smile on my face because we had such a good time. So
that is great.
Thanks so much for having me, dude.
All right, no, thank you for coming on. And so that was Fshsuit. He's still with us currently. Appreciate him coming on. Appreciate you guys watching. Hopefully this kind of series will be monthly, maybe. And Fish was the one to kick it off. You know, get us restarted. So thanks for coming, dude, and thanks everyone for watching. Take care.
Bye, everyone.